What is the answer for the second one? You all have done. I can't spend more time on reading the paper and reading the answers, right? You have done it. Just tell me what is your answer. A, B, C, D. Answer is A. A. Any differences? 68 or 70 people are for A? Or are there any other answers?
B.
Answer B. Any more answers? One more thing before, in fact, because of the network issue, since our class more than 100 people, all of you, please mute your phones, and only when you are answering, unmute it. And because and the other thing, මොකක්ද ඒකට කියන්නේ අර වීඩියෝ එක වගේ නේද? දැන් මාත් එක අයින් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. මගේ රූපේ අයින් කරලා තියෙනවා. කොහොම රූපෙට අයින් කරගන්න. රයිට්? එතකොට තව අපිට සේව් වෙනවා මේ ලොකු කැපැසිටි එකකට අපිට සේව් වෙන්න උනා. රයිට්. What is the answer? The correct answer is B. The common for all different is the seller provide the goods in a well-worthy package. That's the answer. And 3. Your whatever.
Answer is B.
3 එක ඔයගලගේ 2 එකට තියනවද?
ඔව් සර්.
ඈ?
තියෙනවා සර්.
දැන් 3 එක ඔයගලගේ 2 එකට තියනවද? ඔයගල ගාව තියෙන එකේ.
තියෙනවා සර්.
තියෙනවා සර්.
How can I work like this? If you are not answering, we are wasting time. You have only 12 classes. I won't be able to cover the syllabus. ඉතින් ඒක කියන්න ඕනේ. ඒක කියන්න ඕනේ. මට දැන් yeah, I am exceeding my limit. Don't send me any messages. Messages එන්න එපා. Answer කරන්න.
තියෙනවා
Okay.
සර්.
Then right, okay. Then number 3, what is the answer?
Answer is B.
Answer is B.
B.
That is DDP.
Yes sir.
Huh? DDP. Yes, that answer is correct. Of the following terms, will the buyer not have responsibility for cargo insurance? Under DDP, seller will do all the insurance and then he will bring the goods to the buyer's warehouse and hand it over. Right? Not unloading. Unloading will be done by the buyer. Number 4, in which term will the seller have to deliver the goods to the buyer?
FCA.
What is the answer? ඔගොල්ලෝ කරපු answer එක කියන්නේ දැන්
Answer D.
දැන්
Answer D. Answer D.
FCA. Okay. Any other answers?
D and B.
Any other? Four. Answer B. Answer B. Answer B and D. That is FOB and FCA. Both are correct. Right? If you are this particular one, you have to mark both FOB also B and D. B and D. Then this one, export is in Hong Kong and is in UK. Which of these Incoterms would apply? Correct answer. What is the answer for the question number 5?
Answer C.
C.
Answer C. Yes, correct. Number 6. In which of the following would the seller be responsible for nominating the carrier?
Answer A.
Answer A.
Yes. Question number 7.
C and D.
In which of the following situations would the seller have to claim for goods lost in transit?
Answer C and D, sir.
C and D. Why you say C? Why you say C? మరి क्या ना बताया ये और C क्यों है?
So it is included cost, insurance, and freight.
Yeah. What time the risk will be transferred? Okay. CIF seller is responsible for the insurance, right? So what time? At what point the risk will be transferred from seller to the buyer? When the goods are placed on deck. When the goods are placed on deck. Now this is transit. Never පැටුවට පස්සේනේ යන්නේ, not the seller. The claim කරන්න ඕනේ buyer. Claim කරන්න ඕනේ buyer. Right? So what is the answer? Only is DDP. DDP. Number 8. Customer has a contract to which requires him to make a question. Customer has a contract to which require him to ship goods on FOB basis from Hong Kong latest by 10th March 2012. If the goods have to be purchased from India so that he can on-deliver without any processing by him, which of the following terms is likely to help meet the requirement? Right? The customer has a contract to ship the goods on FOB basis from Hong Kong, latest by 10th March. But for that, they have to get the goods from India. They have to get the goods from India so that they can on-deliver without any processing. Out of 4 answers, what is the correct one? Out of 4 answers, what is the correct one?
Second one.
Second one. CIF Hong Kong delivery 5th March 2012. Excellent. This is a bit of a difficult question, but you have given the correct answer because all the others cannot match with the on delivery. Right? Customer has contracted to supply goods on CIF basis for shipment to Hong Kong port. Due to event of piracy, the ship has been captured and fails to arrive. Who will file the insurance claim? Who stands to lose? The first one. Who will file the insurance claim? Buyer or seller? Buyer. because buyer. The previous one also I explained. Even though on the CIF, a lot of people go for the seller. They said insurance will be obtained by the seller. That's true, but the risk will be transferred from seller to buyer when the goods are placed on deck. And the other thing, the insurance policy, what they will do is the policy will be assigned to the buyer, and they will send the policy to the buyer along with the other documents. So whatever the claims, the person should have the insurance policy. Now the policy is with the buyer, so definitely buyer has to claim, right? Then if the insurance policy does not provide cover for policy, who stands to lose? Buyer or seller?
Buyer.
Again, because it is up to the responsibility of the buyer to get the necessary coverage. Buyer has to tell the seller, I want these type of covers. If you have failed, that's his baby. The customer has contracted to supply goods on FCA basis. Who will nominate the carrier and contract for carriage? Under FCA, who will nominate the carrier and contract for carriage? Buyer or seller?
Buyer.
Buyer. Good. Payment for the sale is covered by a documentary credit with latest date of shipment as 15th April. If by that date the buyer fails to notify the carrier, what should the seller do? If by that date the buyer fails to notify the carrier, what could the seller do? What can he do? On behalf of the buyer, at the risk and the cost of the buyer, seller can nominate the carrier and load the goods, but he has to agree with the buyer, and on behalf of the buyer and at the risk of the buyer, seller will not take any risk, but he will help them, right? Okay. 11. මේක තියනවද ඔයගලංගේ තියනවද නැද්ද?
තියෙනවා සර්.
තියෙනවා sir.
කියන බණ උත්තරේ.
A.
Answer is A. Very good. 12. Under FOB terms and UCP 600, a bill of lading would be required to state which of the following? FOB, yeah? FOB, who will arrange the carriage? Buyer or seller?
Seller.
Buyer.
Seller is
Buyer.
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 Buyer. Right. If the buyer is arranging the carrier, who will pay the freight?
Buyer.
Buyer. Buyer will pay the freight, right? And at what time he will pay the freight? Payable at destination. Payable at destination, because destination is the buyer's country, right? ඒ වගේ කැලින් හිතලා ගන්න ඕන. So the answer is 3. Answer is 3. Shipped on board and freight payable at destination. Which of the following is true of the use of freight terms such as Incoterms 2020?
B. Answer is B.
Answer is B.
B.
Very good. They determine the port or place at which delivery of goods is determined to have been made by the seller. Answer is B.
Excuse me, sir. Can't see the presentation.
Again, what about the others?
We can
Can't
see the
see, sir.
presentation. We can.
Yes, sir. We also can't see.
Can't say, sir. Can't say, sir.
Right. Anyway, any more questions? My paper ඉවරයි වගේ අපි මතකද?
Another two questions.
Another 2 questions.
Another 3 questions. Two. Another 2 questions more, sir.
ඉතින් මොකද්ද මේ මෙයා දාලා තියෙන එක? මටත් දැන් හිතා ගන්න බෑ. Right. අපි shall we go for the other one? දැන් මේක තව මම ආත් ගිහලා point එක තව වෙලා යනවා. මම අනිත් එක මම හොයලා දාලා අපි ඉතුරු එක කතා කරමු දැන් අනිත් වැඩ කරන අතරේ. When I get a chance. Out of this 12 questions or 13 questions, are there any people more than 10 correct answers? More than 10 correct answers? More than 9? 8 then. More than 8?
8, sir.
More than 8. What's your name?
Dilusha.
Nilisha. Very good. Very good. Anybody who has more than 7? Right. Okay. Happy. එහෙනම් අනිත් එකට යන්න අනිත් ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එකට. Right. Where we have stopped the other day? And somebody tell me. Where I've been at. Financial facilities up to collection.
The bill receivable.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. We can.
Can you see the screen?
We can't see, sir.
Huh?
No, sir.
We can see, sir.
Can't see, sir.
Can you see the presentation?
Yes, sir. Can
Yes, sir.
No,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No,
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
At home. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, here. We can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello? ඇහෙනවා. ඉතින් මේ ඇහෙනවා කියලා ළමයි කියන්නේ නැහැ නේ. මම හිතන්නේ ළමයි නෑ මට ඇහෙනවා හොඳට. දැන් ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ දෙන උත්තරේ මට ඇහෙන්නේ නැහැ. මම මේ බැලුවේ ළමයි ගොළුවද කියලා මම බලවල ඉන්නේ. Okay. Okay, thank you. Right. ඔගොල්ලෝ උත්තර දෙන්න නැත්නම් ඉතින් මම ඔය ටයිම් වේස්ට් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මගේ ලිමිටඩ් ටයිම් එක ඔයගලන්ට හැබැයි මම සිලබස් එකෙන් පේපර් එක හදනවා. රයිට්. ඉක්මනට අපි කතා කරන්න ඕන. මේක ස්ක්‍රීන් එක පේනවද?
පේනවා සර්.
පේනවා. හරි. දැන් කට්ටියක් කියලා පේන්නේ නැහැ කියලා කට්ටියක් කියලා පේනවා කියලා දෙන්නෙක්ටවත් පේනවනම් මම එහෙම අරගෙන යනවා. රයිට්. මොකද මම because I am doing from the same stream, right? Either something wrong with your things like my one, or maybe if nobody can see, then it is my fault. Right? One thing I know about SLT told me in most of the places there are network errors these days. So this must be the problem. Now, we discussed the financing options up to this place. Financing options. Now, today we are going to discuss about the financing options in collection operations, non-DC back transaction. That is collection operations. The collection operations we can discuss on one important thing, that is usance collections, that is DA terms, documents against acceptance. We call it supplier's credit. The other one is bankers' acceptance on collection bills or avalizations. So both we have to study. The bank advances against export collection bills, right? Matters normally considered by the banks before making advances against the collection bills. Advances against collection bills is very, very difficult and risky thing, not like LC. Here, the customer can stay back without paying the money, right? Okay. We know collection, there's no hard and fast rule that customer has to pay. So if we finance and if the customer doesn't pay, we will be in a real soup, right? So therefore, we have to be careful when you are advancing against collection. Granted to finance the period between drawing and payment of an export bill for collection, right? Then pledge of export collection. The best thing is to put the things under a pledge loan facility, because we discussed about the pledge loans last week. Pledge loan means we put the goods in a warehouse, and the bank also put a padlock, and we are keeping a control of that goods. So always, if you are advancing against collection, do it under pledge. That's the best, right? Then to have an interest in the underlying goods. If you place the goods under pledge, then we have interest in the underlying goods. We have the control. Right of recourse to the exporter. If something goes wrong, the exporter will responsible, right? Yesterday's class, DIT class, I think you can give me much more examples than that. One boy came up with a very alarming thing. He said, sir, in some of the local banks, like Bank of Islam People's Bank and some banks, when we are having pledge facilities with the right, paddy manufacturers in Polonnaru area, right? ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ස්ටෝර්ස් වලට අපි pledge facility එක දෙනවා. දීලා අපි loans දෙනවා. All the paddy in bags will be stacked inside the warehouse. He was telling me, and he was telling all of us at the class, he was telling us, there are people who will replace the paddy. Again, අපි දැන් ඉබ්බෙත් දාලා ඉන්නේ බැංක් එකෙන්. බැංක් එකේ ඉබ්බටත් ඒගොල්ලෝ යතරක් කපාගෙන බැංක් එකේ ඉබ්බටත් යතරක් කපලා වී ටික අරගෙන 10 බෑග් දාලා තියෙනවා. එහෙම වුණාම එන රිස්ක් නේද? pledge එකත් ඉවරයි. ඒක තමයි අපි කියන්නේ the right of recourse to the exporter. We have to keep them responsible. If something like that happens, if our records doesn't show that we have released any bags, that means they are responsible, right? Advances against specific bills. We should not finance all the bills under collection, only specific bills. Easy to track and monitor the transactions. Then alternatively, bank may have a separate overdraft available against total outstanding, right? It is always better to to advance only the specific bills, right? DP bills can be booked under the general line, and DP bills where we do not control goods, and all DA bills purchases are booked under cash lines, right? Cash lines mean DA bills we have to, if you are advancing, it has to be against 100% cash covered, right? Okay. Now this is the product cycle of usance DA. We have done it earlier when we were doing the collection, but this is a revision like that. But mind you, this is what we call supplier credit. And normally the banks, to pay the import bills, the customer will ask certain facilities, banking facilities. Then under collection, DA collection, instead of the bank is giving the facility, the exporter, he himself gives the facility to the importer. Exporter is a supplier, so supplier is giving a credit facility to the importer. What is that trade facility? He will allow the supplier to pay after 90 days or 120 days or 60 days or whatever, right? So that is what we call supplier credit. Supplier credit. Now here what is happening between the buyer and the seller, we have the commercial contract. So based on the commercial contract, the exporter will ship the goods and give the documents to the remitting bank. Remitting bank will send the documents to the collecting bank, right? The collecting bank, they will inform the importer that they have received a set of documents, right? Then, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay, sir.
මම සැලසෙර අහන්න පුතේ නැත්නම් මම ඔයකන් කියෝනේ හින්දා. Then the importer will come to the bank and they will accept the draft. Accept the draft to be paid on a maturity date, agreed maturity date. Then only we will release the documents to the importer. The importer will take the documents and they will go to the port and get the goods cleared, current in the BL, right? Then after the maturity, on the maturity date, they will come to the bank and pay the money. Number 8. On maturity date, they will come to the bank and they'll pay the money. Then the collecting bank will deduct their charges. The banks are not charitable organizations. We always charge customers for our service, right? We deduct our charges and send the money to the remitting bank. And the remitting bank will send the money to the exporter. Okay, send the money to the exporter. So this is how this supply credit is happening. If I ask you one question, if the guy, the importer, doesn't pay on the maturity date, what is going to happen? Under DA risk. If the importer doesn't pay the maturity date, what is going to happen? Nilusha? නැද්ද?
එහෙනවා සර්.
අපෝ මාව අටලක් දන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙනවද? මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඉම්පෝට් ගෙව්වේ නැත්තම්. කියන්න කතා.
Bank will have to pay.
Will have to pay?
Bank
Are
will
you
have
mad?
to pay.
Under collection. මගේ අම්මෝ. ඔව් අහන්නේ. ඈ?
The collecting bank will
no,
inform
no,
the remitting
no.
bank of the default.
Yeah.
You have to inform the remitting bank. That's it. That's the only obligation we are having as the collecting officer. We have to inform the remitting bank and wash our hands. Right? Under what payment method?
LC.
If the customer doesn't pay, the bank has to pay. Under what?
LC.
LC. Only LC. Right? Okay. But the next one, what we are going to learn, that will also do the same thing. It's like a LC. Then to make it, application responsibility, only inform, right? Second one, avalanche bill. Avalanche bill is in some other collections, the exporter will ask, between the importer and the exporter in their commercial contract, they have agreed for avalanche bills. The word avalanche is, even though it looks like English, this has came from a French word. The French word is Pouraval. 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 Pouraval කියන වචනයෙන් තමයි කැඩිලා තියෙන avalization, avalize everything. Right? Avalize means giving a guarantee. Avalize means giving an independent guarantee. Okay. Now, what is happening here? In their commercial contract, the exporter requests the importer to avalize the bills. Accordingly, when he sends in the collection order, when he gives the document to the remitting bank, he will request the remitting bank to inform the collecting bank that the bill of exchange has to be avalized. That means the importer's bank collecting bank, now we call it evaluating bank, has to give an irrevocable undertaking that they will pay, even if the customer doesn't pay. It is just like a LC. Only thing, we don't have to check documents or anything. That's a trust between the buyer and the seller. Right? The importing bank, they will agree on that, but before that, before they add their confirmation to the exchange, they will request 100% cash cover from the importer, because if the importer doesn't pay, even then they have to pay. Because of that, they keep that money as a cash. Right? So up to now, one is same as DAP. After that, the customer has accepted the draft. Once they accepted the draft, we give the documents, and when we accept the draft, or evaluating bank will also give their guarantee.
Undertake.
We evaluate the draft. Evaluate the draft in the sense, on the face of it, the customer has given a guarantee, we will pay on such and such a day. Then below that, the evaluating bank or the collecting bank will also put their assurance, their undertaking, saying that we undertake to pay on, or we just say we have evaluated the attached draft, and put the bank's seal and authorized signature by authorized signatory. Right? So that means that's a solid document. Then we advise the remitting bank. And then we have to keep that evaluation bill under fireproof chabbeh දාලා අයි කරලා තියන් ඉන්නවා. ඒක important document. Then based on the price, the remitting bank will immediately to the exporter. Nothing to worry, Even if the importer doesn't pay, the bank will pay. Because they have given the agreement, so we discount the bill and give to the. So exporter gets the money immediately. On the maturity date, the importer will pay. On the maturity date, importer will pay. Right? And once they pay, we will deduct our charges and send the money to the remitting bank. Right? Remitting bank, because they have already given the money to the exporter. But if there's any shortfall, they will pay. Right? Any questions on this? Any questions on this?
In practical, most of the collecting banks taking 100% money from the importer, no?
Yes. Yes. Any other? Okay. General guidelines to evaluation. Endorsements examined to ensure that it is indeed an evaluation and not a verification of drawer's signature. They may drawer's signature. They are important. Some banks, property banks, right? They will just say then importer has accepted the draft. You will get seal like a but that is not evaluation. If it is evaluation, you have to mention the word evaluated. Otherwise, it is not an evaluation. I am telling that is later, if something happened, if the evaluation bank has to pay, they can go back and tell them, look, we have not we have not mentioned that it is avalized. We have verified the signature of the drawing. එහෙමත් කියන්න පුළුවන් නේ. We have verified the signature. The association එකක් නෙමෙයිනේ. Right? So therefore, the avalized word or the confirmation should be there. Bank and country risk, we have to check. Why? Because the guarantee is given by the bank. So we have to see the bank and country risk of that. Then signature check. Right? Whether the signatures are correct. Then I'm going to මේවැන් වෙන්නේ මොනවද කියන්නේ Swift messages. Swift again non telexes plus 10 confirmation telexes if the amount is large. Sometimes if the amount is $1 million stabilization, before the remitting bank release the money to the exporter, better go back to them and get a telex confirmation also. If the amount is large, sure, and it should be diarized for maturity. Right of recourse to export customers in the event of a disclaimer. If something happens, we have to have the right of recourse to the export customer. Right of recourse begins to money. That is, if something happens, they are responsible. Advantages of avalized collection over useless DCs. So it is a good replacement for DCs, but you have a better advantage when it comes to avalized collection, because under DC, we have to check the documents and we have to have a limit. Here also you have to have a limit, avalized limit, right? A document checking part is not there. We don't have to quote the discrepancies, nothing, right? Purely for credit support on accepted collection, right? Okay. Finance for import collections. Matters to be considered by the banks, pledge of goods stored in warehouses, pledge of documents of title to goods. What do you mean by pledge of documents of title to goods? If it is under LC, if the bill of lading, if there's a bill of lading, sea shipment, that's a title document. If the title document, the bill of lading, is consigned to the bank, then we are holding the security. That's a good security. All entire 3 originals are with us, consigned to the bank. So if the customer wants bill of lading to clear the goods, they have to come and settle the bills and take the document. So that's a very good pledge. Goods own last pledge delivery of goods against TR, right? Importers bank, evaluation the importers acceptance. Document credit as financing tools, structured post-import finance, loans against import, right? Then normally loans against import is granted to retire the import bills under a DC, right? But this is also, we have to control the goods. And nowadays, a lot of banks, they don't want to go for this LAI, loans against import. Rather, because it's very difficult to control the goods, TR and all those things. Clean import loan. CIR, clean import loan. Clean import loan means we keep some other security like property mortgage or යාගේ මොනාරි අනුරාධපුරේ ඉඩමක් තියෙනවා නම් අක්කර 50ක් විතර අපේ ඉඩම තියාගන්නවා mortgage එකට තියාගෙන අපි facility එකක් set up කරනවා. එතකොට අර මේ underlying goods නෙමෙයි වෙනම security එකක්. ඔය අපිට ලේසි. එතකොට ඒක ඇතුලේ operate කරන්න. Right? Guarantee.
Can't hear, sir.
Can't hear, sir.
We cannot hear you, sir.
Cannot hear me. You can see
Now
the-
okay. Now okay, sir.
Right. What do you mean by shipping guarantee? මේ පුතේ ඔයගලන්ට මේ මම ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහුවාමද එන්නේ? ප්‍රශ්නය. ෂේප් වෙන්න පුළුවන් නේද? කියලා. හරි. දැන් ඇහෙනවද?
Yes.
දැන් ඇහෙනවද?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now okay.
Oh, okay. What is shipping guarantee? Can somebody tell me? ඔගොල්ලෝ දන්න විදියට කියන්නේ? ඔයගලගේ
So in a case we don't know the
here the goods.
importer doesn't have the original documents.
There you are. You're correct.
Can't hear you again, sir.
Got the can't hear.
Now it's okay. Now can hear.
It's okay. Right. Okay. But the question I asked is, yeah, one student gave me the correct answer for shipping guarantee. I asked his name because he has given the correct answer. ඒකට තමයි උඩ උත්තර අපේ ආපෝ එන්නේ දැන්නේ.
The audio is breaking, sir.
Breaking. මම කොහොම හරි මේ ටික ඉවර කරලා අපි ඊගාව සෙෂන් එක පටන් ගන්නකොට මම ආපෝ ක්විට් වෙලා ආපෝ රීලොග් වෙන්නම් ඇයිසර. අයවිලා අපි අයිතෙන්ද බලමු. අපි හිතමු හරියයිද කියලා. Anyway, please stop me if you can't hear. Right? I can hear you. Please stop me if you can't hear. I hope you can hear. Hello.
Now okay.
Yes,
Now we can.
Now okay.
Now we can
Right.
hear.
Right. Okay. Now the shipping guarantees. අර ඔයගලන්ගේ පුතේ අර මේ මේවා ගොඩක් ඒවා මියුට් කරලා තියාගන්න මේ එකක් දෙයක් අරින්න මේ මොනවාද සවුන්ඩ් එක මියුට් කරාම අපිට ගොඩක් ඔය ටික ඔයගලන්ට ක්ලියර් ඇහෙන්න ගන්නවා. අනිත් එක වීඩියෝ එකක් මේ කරලා තියාගන්න. වීඩියෝ කියන්නේ ඔයගලන්ගේ රූපය විතරක් මගේ ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එක බලන්න. ඔයගලන්ගේ රූපවල කොහොම අපි අයින් කරගමු. Right. Now shipping guarantee can if we know that to clear the goods we have to have the shipping documents, right? Sometimes you get the goods before you get the documents. Right? If the shipment is from India or Pakistan, in about 2-3 days time, it will come to us. But normally the documents will take about 7-8 days to come. Right? They have to check, and after that they have to send it like that. By the time the goods are in Colombo port. If it is a perishable item, then we have to clear. Otherwise, we have to it will get perished, and we have to pay demurrage also. Right? So, in a scenario like that, the banks will give a guarantee to the shipping agent to release the delivery order against the shipping guarantee. Right? Is it clear? Another?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Then, normally when the risk involved in when we issue the shipping guarantee. So, normally we issue the shipping guarantees against cash lines. That means against 100%. Not 100%, we take about 110% cash margin. 100% cash margin. The fluctuation of rates. Rate fluctuation, right? We used to take 100%. Then. But under collection, my advice is not to shipping because we don't know from where we are going to get the documents. The customer will give us a copy document, a photocopy, but the documents can be come to, instead of coming to Bank of Ceylon, it can go to Sampath Bank and it can be sorted out and remitted the money from there. කවුරුකත් දන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක හින්දා අපි සෑහෙන careful වෙන්න ඕන collection වලට shipping guarantees දෙනකොට. මම නම් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. It is that much of risk. එහෙම නැත්නම් මං 150% හරි advance cash advance එකක් තියාගන්න. ඒතර customer හිරලා අනින්නේ. So they have to bring the documents. Otherwise, we should not do that. Right? And the other thing is, when we issue shipping guarantees, liability of 300 liability to the shipping company until we receive the original documents and get the shipping guarantee cancelled. That 300% liability will remain. Right? Okay. When the export facilities, under export facilities, we talk about pre-shipment financing, right? And then
Sir, excuse me.
we give packing credit. Yeah.
Sir, why we get the 300% liability? What is the reason behind that?
We get the 100% liability. Good question.
Yeah.
Because
Regarding the shipping guarantee?
when we issue a bill of lading, by I'm talking under shipping guarantee. Can you mute, please? Can you mute, please? Thank you. When we issue a shipping guarantee, I told you we are keeping 300% liability. And when the shipper issues, or the shipping company issues a bill of lading, it's a title document. And agreement by the shipping company that they will deliver the documents, goods, up to the destination safely. Right? Until they surrender the bill of lading, it is the responsibility of the shipping company to keep the goods with them. That's why after surrendering the bill of lading, then only they issue the delivery order to the port. Port එකකින් check කරන්නේ bill BL එක. They only take the delivery order issued by the shipping company, right? So if you are issuing a shipping guarantee instead of the original BL, still that shipping company's liability is there. You understand that? Shipping company's liability is there. So why they are issuing the delivery order? At the request of the customer. At the request of the customer and the bank. Then they say on the shipping guarantee, my liability is 300%. 300%. This is to discourage issuing the shipping guarantees, right? So we have to mark 300% liability and issue the shipping guarantee. If something goes wrong, still the shipping company can claim their damages up to 300%. That is why we are marking our liability under 300%. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
But I haven't.
Yes, sir. We are okay with that.
Okay with that. Okay. Thank you. Now, we were talking about the pre-shipment, that is packing credit. Packing credit can be granted against these confirmed DC or confirmed order. Confirmed order favoring out. Normally, we grant 60 to 80% of the DC or order value. Right? Packing credit, always better to have it under cash. Cash collateral, right? Once they ship the goods and once they get the money, they will settle the bills, right? Okay. That's why I said booked under cash line, right? Red clause DCs we discussed earlier. Red clause DCs, no facility is required because the LC itself has given an undertaking. The issuing bank has given an undertaking. Okay, you can release up to 60% of the.
Can't hear, sir.
Can't hear, sir.
Can't hear. Is it all right now?
Now okay, sir.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. මේක නිකන් ටියුබ්ලයිට් එකක් වගේ නේ. ටිකක් ගහලා පත් වෙන්නේ. Invoice financing. Invoice financing is another tool in financing the import-export trade. මේක domestic trade එකෙත් ගොඩක් වෙනවා invoice financing. ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා ඔයගොල්ලන් banks වලත් කරනවා ඔයගොල්ලෝ. Right? මම මෙහෙම කිව්වොත් මම ඔයගොල්ලෝ බලන්න මේක බලන්න මේ note එක මගේ බලලා ඉගෙන ගන්න. මම නිකන් explain කරලා කියන්නම්. Now we okay, for example, we'll take Nipuna rice. Let's say example like Nipuna rice. Nipuno Aralia. Right? Aralia rice packs 5 kilos, 10 kilos. Aralia packs dano. When they give it to supermarkets, Cargill, Scales, Apico, will they get the money immediately? Will they get the
No.
money immediately?
No, sir.
No.
No.
Yeah. They will get the money only after 60 days, 90 days. A great period again, tamai gon salli ham venu. Right? That's a normal way. But the earlier guys, they want cash because their cash flow will get stuck. So because of that, when they supply to Cargills will issue their invoice for 1,000 bags. For 1,000 bags, 5 kilo bags, they will issue their invoice. Invoice aragana, they'll come to the bank and ask us to discount the invoice. So then we'll see what is the invoice. And normally when we are having these type of things, the banks or the invoice financing companies like LOLC, they also do. Fintechs, they also do, right? Not only banks. So they will sign a tripartite agreement with the buyer, seller, and the bank. Buyer, seller, and the bank, they will sign a tripartite agreement. අපි දන්නවා ඒතර මේක මෙයා ඉන්වොයිස් එක මෙතෙන්ට ඇරලා තියෙන එක මෙයා ෆයිනෑන්ස් කරනවා කියලා දන්නවා. Right? So we will advance money to our customer based on that. But it has to be the payment in dona adu gane ara invoice එකේ due date එකට කිට්ටුවල් මේ පොවිච්ච ගාම අපි ඊට පස්සේ then what is happening is what is this on the maturity Cargills will pay Nipuna Rice Company. Then Nipuna Rice will settle their bills to the bank along with interest. Right? So normally when we advance money under invoice financing, we do it for 70%, 80%, not more than that. 90 customers. Right? Because we always keep a provision for the interest factor also. Then going behind Cargills and getting the payment is up to the Nipuna Rice guys. Right? That is up to them. As a bank, we don't get involved. That is invoice financing. If the customer, if in a scenario like this, if Cargills have not paid Nipuna, what is going to happen to our outstanding? If Cargill doesn't pay Nipuna,
We have to claim from Nipuna.
we have claim from Nipuna. Very good. We have claim from Nipuna. Leasing among them the seller remains monitoring and receipt seller responsibility. Right? Chasing late payments, that is seller's responsibility. On receipt of payment, the seller pays what is due to the discounter of the invoice, plus charges and interest, and retain the balance. Right? Okay. When we lend the money or when we do invoice discounting service, right, we'll have to check whether the seller can be relied upon honesty and promptly to account for payment received. ඒක අපි බලන්න ඕන. Right? මේ seller කොහොමද නිපුණ කොහොමද කියලා බලන්න ඕන. Right? And seller credit control and sales ledger department, we'll have to visit them. I have done, I was one time when I was heading the trade finance, invoice discounting and factoring also comes under me. So we used to visit the customers and get their sales ledgers, and physically we supervise how they are, whether they are efficient in calling the parties and get the money, right? You have to balance that, right? එහෙම නැතුව නම් අපි දෙන්නේ නැහැ. අරගොල්ලෝ හරි lethargic company එකක් නම් we can just forget about what you have lent to them. The buyers are known to be a bad risk. Bad risk customers and buyers, we have to be very careful. Hello? Okay. Above points are to be critically evaluated when facility is offered on a without recourse basis. Right? Factoring. Factoring is also very much similar to invoice financing, but only most important thing here is the most important thing here is the sales ledger, controlling of the sales ledger will also undertaken by the factor or the company. Factor or the company. Right? එතකොට නිපුණලා නෙමෙයි කරන්නේ. නිපුණ නෙමෙයි අර චේස් කර කර කාගේ එකකින් සල්ලි ඉල්ලන්න නිපුණ නෙමෙයි. ඒක කරන්නේ බැංක් එක. ඒක කරන්නේ බැංක් එක. Right? Okay. ඒක තමයි එකම වෙනස එන්නේ. There are two types of factoring. One is domestic factoring. In domestic factoring is known as invoice financing or invoice discounting. Right? You know, මම කැමරා එක ඔෆ් කරලා තියෙනවා. මොකද කැමරා එක දැම්මොත් එහෙම තවත් මේක ඩිලේ වෙනවා. right. මම කැමරා එක ඔෆ් කරන එකත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නේ. දැන් ඔක ඇහෙනව නේද?
ඇහෙනවා සර්.
Right, okay. Domestic factoring කියන්නේ ගොඩකට invoice financing වගේ. හැබැයි invoice financing එකේ factoring right, there's one major difference. That is sales ledger management under invoice financing, it is with the seller, but here it is with the factor. Right? It is with the factor. Then international trade, international factoring is between two countries also we do factoring. Right? එතකොට කරන්න ඕන අර අපි factor කෙනෙක් ඉන්න ඕන in one country, importers country, and then exporter country එකෙත් කෙනෙක් ඉන්න ඕන. counter factor කෙනෙක්. ඒ banks දෙකත් LC එකක් වගේ ඒගොල්ලොත් communicate කරගෙන collection එක වගේ collecting bank and remitting bank වගේ ඒගොල්ලොත් communicate කරගෙන යනවා. International factoring නම් ලංකාවේ කරනවා නම් කරන්නේ ලොකු companies කරනවා very rare. all big banks like HSBC, Standard Chartered, they do, right? And they had to have the required factoring systems. The I factor, okay, factoring systems they had to have, right? Within the important thing is the sales ledger management is with the factor, not with the seller. So sometimes it is good. Sometimes it is good because Cargills, sometimes they won't listen to Nipuna, but they will listen to Sampath Bank. And they know that it's bad for them if they don't do it because their image will go for a 6. Right? Because of that, there's a downside of it also. Downside is the factoring company, they don't know the relationship between the Cargills and Nipuna. Business. The factoring company is only bothered about getting the money. If they don't get, they can put some thuggery. Finance, vehicle finance kalama මොකද වෙන්නේ කියලා. Finance companies වලින් වෙනම ඉන්නවනේ කට්ටියක් recoveries වලට. ඒගොල්ලෝ මිනිස්සුන්ට කතා කරන්නේ හොඳ වචනෙන් නෙමෙයිනේ. හොඳ වචනෙන් නෙමෙයි කතා කරන්නේ. අපි මෙහෙමයි වෙනම කට්ටියක් දාලා තියෙන්නේ outsource කරලා. බොහොම පැනගෙන කෑ ගහගෙන කරන්නේ. දුන්නේ නැත්තම් අපි වාහනේ උස්සනවා මම තමුසේ උස්සනවා අලලා පොලේ ගහනවා අන්න ඒ වගේ වචන තමයි යන්නේ. right? එහෙම යන්නේ. එහෙම ගියොත් එහෙම අර what is going to happen to the relationship between Cargills and the Nipuna? That will spoil. Right? ඊට පස්සේ නිපුණට බෑ Cargills එක්ක එක බිස්නස් කරන්න. Cargills බලනවා මේ මිනිහත් එක්ක බිස්නස් කළොත් එහෙම හරි කරදරයක්. We are getting bad calls from the factor, right? So that's the downside of it, right? Advantage of factoring is factors are expert at collecting and chasing up unpaid invoices. So it is cost effective to sellers. It's good. Financing the working capital needs of the cycle will be straight. Cash flow because of the immediate advance against the invoices. Without recourse, factoring provides a guarantee against bad debts. Right? Saving on sales administration. Sales administration will check. Again, නිපුණල sales ledger staff එකක් දාලා follow කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඒක කෙලින්ම බැංකුවට දීලා තියෙනවා. Right? Disadvantages: book debts in the hands of the factor reduces the net asset of the business. A factor whose service standards are poor, the one කිව්වාගේ නිකන් තගරි වලින් ගියොත් are poor, can impact adversely on the commercial relationship between the seller and the buyer. Right? Okay. And the factor will not be now we have learned about the background of trade facilities. Now, as bankers, now we have to structure the trade facilities. Now, this is very important to you, whether you are doing trade or whether you are doing branch banking. Normally, the customers will come to you, and especially in the branch, they will come and meet you. And if you are the credit officer or credit manager or the branch manager, they will discuss about basically, initially they will discuss with you regarding the facilities they need. And this is what we have learned last 2 days. In detail, what are the facilities we can offer to customers, import-export customers, and what are the things they are expecting from the bank, right? Now we are going to do actual practical exercises, right? We have to do about 5-10 exercises, then you will be thorough. Normally, for exam, I told you there will be a facility sum. That means giving the facilities like what I'm going to teach you now, and foreign exchange sum, right? On top of that, there will be certain theory part also included in that same question, right? So first, now we'll focus purely on how we are going to structure the trade finance facilities. This one is very, very important, and if you can do these two sums, you can be rest assured that you're through with the first question. Multiple choice questions. Multiple choice උගන්ට කම්පල්සරි නොකර තියන්නම්. කම්පල්සරි නොකර තියන්නම්. හැබැයි ඒක ලේසියෙන්ම කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක 12ක් විතර ගෙවුවොත් මේ දෙක දාගත්තොත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ එක්සෑම් එක පාස් 51 කව කරගන්න පුළුවන්. right? ඒකෙන්ද මේක හරියට කරන්න. If you can't understand any areas, don't wait, because I am the teacher. Ask me why. Always you have to have the question why we are doing this, right? Like that, right? And try to clear your doubts. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, fine. Okay, let's read this question, right? Let's read this question. Fortune Limited. Your customer is Fortune Limited. Now they are doing monthly single import shipment of $100,000 under LC terms, payable 90 days DA terms, payable 90 days DA terms, or 90 days usance, right? So once you see the document, you will accept the document, bill of exchange, and then you will be paid only after 90 days. And a monthly single import. Every month they want to import $100,000 worth of goods. Goods are expected within 2 months after establishing the import DC. Goods are expected within 2 months after establishing the import DC. Right? So when you open the LC, it will take 2 months to receive the goods. මම පළවෙනි එක විතරක් ඔබට එක හොඳට එමින් හදනවා. මේක හරියට මේ පහේ ශිෂ්‍යත්ව ගානක් වගේ. ඔයගලන්ට හම්බ වෙන්නේ මේව නෙමෙයි ආ. A level ගානක්. එතකොට මේක පොඩ්ඩක් හිතා ගන්න කොහොමද අපි step by step improve වෙගෙන යන්නේ කියන එක. ඉතින් මේක හදාගමු. මේ පහේ ශිෂ්‍යත්ව ගාන හදාගත්තට පස්සේ අනිත් ඒවා ටික step by step අපි කරමු. Generally, it takes 120 days to convert goods into cash. Generally, it takes 120 days to convert goods into cash. So once you receive the goods to the country, it will take about 120 days. 120 days can how many months?
4 months.
4 months.
4 months to convert it to cash. Right? එහෙනම් අපි සාමාන්‍ය normally වෙන්නේ මේ පිටුකුටුවේ වෙලෙන්දෙක් කියලා හිතන්නකෝ. The clearing charges and custom duty for each shipment is 25% of the bill value. each shipment, we have to pay 25% of the bill value as a clearing charges. All overhead expenses will be borne by the client from his own funds. Right? You are required to structure a package of facilities to meet the customer's requirement, especially each type of facility and the revolving limit needed for each facility with reasons. Right? Always you have to give the reasons. If you don't give the reasons, I think you all have done these type of sums when you were doing DABF or DBF, right? But just to refresh your mind, right? This is each type of facility and revolving limit needed for each facility with reasons. You have to give the reasons. So I am not going to mention the reasons, but mention Karna, I'm going to mention the reasons. Now, from now onwards, you have to write down everything in your notebooks. Fortune Limited කියලා ගාන දාලා ගාන තියෙනවනේ මේකේ සිස්ටම් එකේ තියෙනවනේ ගාන ලියන්න ඕනේ හැබැයි ගාන හදන එක ඕගොල්ලෝ ලියන්න ඕන පොතේක පොතේ තමයි හදන්න ඕනේ ඕගොල්ලෝ හදන්න ඕන නැතුව මේක දිහා බලන් ඉඳලා ගණන් හදන්න බෑ out right ඒක out give me 1 minute sampai man class එකේ ඉන්නේ ඉස්සලා මම බ්‍රේක් එකේදී කෝල් කළේ ගත්තේ නෑ මම 12 මාට කෝල් කරනවා ඔයාලගේ ඉන්නවද මේ බැංක් ඔෆ් ස්ලන්ඩ් ක්‍රවුඩ් එකේ ඉන්නවද බැංක් ඔෆ් ස්ලන්ඩ් හෙඩ් ඔෆිස් එහෙම කට්ටිය ඉන්නවද මෙහෙ අපේ ගෲප් එකේ different departments කවුරු ඉන්නවද නැද්ද අපෝ ඔයාලට ඇහෙන්නේ නැද්ද hello
We can hear you, sir.
Now got stuck. Can't hear.
can't hear ඉතින් බැලුවේ now you can hear
Yes, sir.
Yes.
so that means they have not fixed it they asked me to do a lot of things so quit then reboot ඔක්කොම කළා වැඩේ වෙලා නැහැ සරසරේ මට කෝල් කරන්න okay now you can hear
Yes, sir.
hello yeah okay fine now what are the facilities we need for this sum tell me you have to open up your mouth then only I know that I am not alone
Personal loans.
I am with people huh?
Import LC facility.
pardon
Import LC facility.
what are the facilities you need මොකක්ද කිව්වා මට හරියට ක්ලියර් එක ආවේ නැහැ
Import LC facility.
hello import LC facilities very good any other facilities we need can you write down under Fortune Limited can you write down facilities needed right and එහෙම ලියන්න බලන්න facilities needed one is import LC facility okay then two එක පුතෙක් කිව්වා අනිත් අය
Acceptance facility.
very good acceptance facilities very good another one acceptance facilities at what time what point At what point? කොයිලාද අපි මේ acceptance facility එක දෙන්නේ? කියන්නේ
Receipt of documents.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes. Good.
Right. At what time we are giving the acceptance facility? අපි මේක කොයිලා දෙන්නේ? When we receive the documents. When we receive the documents, we have to accept the bill of exchange because it says 90 days DA. ඒකට තමයි එන්නේ. So we have to accept the bill of exchange when we receive the document. Then what else? Facilities. Come on.
Short-term loan.
Short-term loan එක මොකටද දෙන්නේ?
Clearing charges and for customs duty.
Yes, very good. Very good. Clearing charges and customs, very good. තව එකක්.
Shipping guarantees.
ඒ මොකටද දෙන්නේ? දැන් ඔය bill of exchange එක අපි accept කරනවා.
Sales proceeds are getting after 120 days. Until that, we need to cover the
Working capital requirement.
Working capital requirement වලට දෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේ තනිකර යන්නේ මේ ගාන ගැන හිතන්න. මේ ගානේ තියෙනව මොනවද දෙන්න ඕනේ? එහෙම නැතිනම් අර අයිතිකාරයක wife shopping එකක් දෙන්න වෙයි. මේ ගානේ හැටියට තව මොකක්ද දෙන්න ඕනේ? දැන් acceptance කරගත්තා. ඊට පස්සේ accepted bill එක අපි pay කරන්නේ එහෙම නැද්ද?
Series of loan.
Accepted bill එක අපිට
Bill discounting. Bill discounting facility.
Not bill discounting.
Import loan.
Facility.
Import loan. Very good. That's a word is import loan. Import loan. Right? Import loan එක දෙන්න ඕනේ. bill accept කරපු දවස් ඉඳන් දවස් කීයකින්ද?
After 90 days.
Yes, after 90 days. After 90 days. Right? Very good. හරි. දැන් ඔය ටික අපි හදමු බලන්න. දැන් ඔය facilities ටික අපි දාගන්න ඕන. හරි. දැන් අපි මේක පටන් ගමු මේ ගාන කරන්න. Right? Okay. මම එකක දෙක answers හදලා තියෙනවා. හැබැයි I have done it very raw විදියට හදලා තියෙනවා. මොකද මට I am not a good guy in computers. ඒකින්ද තමයි මම මේ පුළුවන් තරම් මේක. What you have to do is the easiest way. You have to do it with me. You have to do it with me. You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Now draw a line, straight line from left to right, like this, right? And then mark these things. Now, right hand side corner එකේ මට මේ ඕන ඇත්තටම ඊතලයක් පල්ලෙහාට දාගන්න මට ඒක ඇඳගන්න තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ, right? So that is where you the LC is 100,000. Right? LC is 100,000. So you have to mark LC 100,000 there at the far left corner. Then it will take 1 month. No, it will take it will take 2 months. 2 months to receive the goods to Sri Lanka. So from the time you open the LC, including the shipment period, it will take 2 months. Line එකට උඩින් ලියන්න 2 months කියලා put bracket එකක් දාලා from the time LC open up to the goods, right? 2 months. So what I'm trying to do is to include all these details here in this system, right? Then we will receive the goods. We will receive the goods. And then we have to accept the bill. Now, what is the amount of the bill we are going to accept? What is the amount of the bill we are going to accept?
100,000.
100,000. 100,000. Very good. Then it will take, now immediately we'll sell the goods. It will take 4 months. 4 months. The within the goods acceptance and in the payment take a humble than within bracket 4 months. 4 months will take for the to receive the payment. Right. And then 120 days means 4 months. But we have to settle the acceptance. We have to settle the acceptance after how many days from the time we accept?
90 days.
Yes, 90 days. 90 days. Right? After 90 days, we have to give an import loan. We have to give an import loan to settle the bill. Right? Why we have to give an import loan? Because still we have not received the proceeds. Proceeds will be received after 4 months. Now, after 3 months, we'll have to settle the bill. So we have to give an import loan also. Right? Then we take up mark karagatta. Now we will see the first facility, facility 1, issuance of LC. First issuance of LC. Now, issuance of LC, I'll go back to this one. I make a again. Revolving limit needed for each facility with reasons. You have to write the reasons. Now, writing the reasons is like when you are doing small sums, when you are small, during a small ages, පහේ හය හතේ ඉන්නකොට අපි ගණන් කරන්නේ අන්න ඒ වගේ ගණන්. දැන් අපි ඒක කරනවානේ to clear a garden, two laborers will need 2 days. 2 laborers will need 2 days. Right? So the question is, if you employ 4 laborers, then how many days will it take to clear the garden? How many days? Huh?
1 day. 1 day.
One day we can. එතකොට දැන් බලන්න ඔය වගේ ගණන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කාලේ කලේ 4 5 පන්තියේදී. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ ටීචර් කියනවා නේද ඔයගොල්ලෝ ලියන්නේ කියලා. ලියනකොට කොහොමද ලියන්නේ? මම මේ කියන්නේ ඒක. අපි ලියනකොට ලියනවා අපි සිංහලෙන් ඕක කරේ නේද? මිනිසුන් දෙදෙනෙකුට ඉඩම සුද්ධ කිරීමට යන කාලය සමානයි 4යි. දින සමානයි දින ගන්න 4යි. එම නිසා මිනිසුන් 4 දෙනෙකුට යන කාලය අර 4 අර දෙක අපි මේකෙන් බෙදලා අපි ගන්නවා 1යි කියලා. දෙකෙන් බෙදලා 1යි කියලා. තේරෙනව නේද? අන්න ඒ වගේ අපි මේ ගානම රීසන් එකට ලියන්න ඕන. So reason is, for this one you have to write the reason. One single import shipment of $100,000 under LC terms payable 90 days DA to be issued. Cut and paste. DA terms to be issued. Right? And not only that, the goods, it will take 2 months from the establishment of the LC to receive the goods. It will take 2 months after establishing the import LC to receive the goods. Right? However, we need to give facility to open LCs on monthly basis. So that is the reason. That is the reason you have to give. Right?
Can you repeat it, please?
ගාන බලන් ලියන්න. හොඳයි බලන්න. මේ ගාන බලන් ලියන්න. Monthly single import shipment of $100,000 under LC terms. Payable 90 days DA terms. අරකම ලිව්වා එතනින්. Right? Then it will take 2 months to receive goods after establishing the LC. Right? Therefore, we need facilities. Therefore, we need facilities to open LCs on a monthly basis. When we open a LC, it will take 2 months to receive the goods, but every month we have to open a LC. So we need how many times issue එක, right? දැන් ඒවා අරකෙම ගානෙම ලියගන්න. Right. දැන් උතර facility 1 issuance of LCs අපි ඒ ටික ලිව්වා. Now what's the amount? $100,000. It will take 2 months. That is what you call lead time. When you open the LC to receive the goods, it will take 2 months. We call it lead time. L-E-A-D-T-I-M-E. Lead time. Right? If I had a whiteboard, then this would have been very easy. But what to do? Now we'll have to live with it now. Where the things are going, I don't think I will ever get an opportunity to see your nice faces. Neither people. මෙහෙම course එකක් ඉවරම වෙයි. Remote man. So it will take 2 months. But we have to open LCs every month. So lead time එක තමයි හැමතිස්සෙම වැඩි වෙන්නේ. Lead time එක තමයි හරිම important. Right? So every month we have to open LCs. That is why when you open a LC, for example, on August 1st, if you open a LC, when are you going to get the goods? When are you going to get the goods? You open the LC on August 1st.
Before October 1st?
October.
October 1st.
October 1st can go?
October 1st.
October 1st. But every month we have to import. October දිගටම අපිට යන්න ඕන. October තමයි පළවෙනි එක start එක දෙන්නේ. ඒත් ආයෙ නම් හැම මාසෙම shipment එකක් අපිට ඕන. යවන්න ඕන. අපිට ලංකාවට ඕන. එහෙනම් October 1st අපි August 1st area. ඒක එනවා October 1st. Then November 1st එන්න නම් අපි කවද්ද අරින්න ඕනේ LC එක?
September 1st.
September 1st. Now you got it now? Now you got it. Right? So between August 1st and October 1st, how many LCs we had to open?
2.
We have to open one LC on August 1st, the second LC on September 1st. Is it clear now? Right? Okay, fine. Then, when we open the first LC, that is why we said 100,000, each LC 100,000 into 2. We need to open 2 such LCs. Right? And when we receive the documents, we have to accept the document. When we accept the document, what is going to happen is we reverse the LC liability and we create acceptance liability. At that point, we reverse the LC liability and create acceptance liability. When we reverse the LC liability, now that out of US dollar 200,000, September 1st වෙනකොට අපිට දැන් තව ෆැසිලිටි එකක් ඕපන් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. තව ෆැසිලිටි එකක් ඕපන් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. දැන් එතකොට අපි ඔක්ටෝබර් 1st අරිනකොට ඔක්ටෝබර් 1st ඊගාව එක අරිනකොට 100,000 දැන් අපි ගාව තියෙනවා ෆැසිලිටි එකක්. රිලීස් වෙලා. ඇයි? අර බිල් එක ඇක්සෙප්ට් කළා. We reverse the LC liability by creating acceptance liability. But acceptance liability is outstanding until that is get paid. Clear? Clear the right? Okay. Now, issuance of LC, that is that. The second one is the acceptance. That acceptance liability, acceptance facility. The amount is 100,000. For how many times we have to give? ඒ වගේ 100,000 ඒවා කීයක් දෙන්න ඕනද acceptance facility?
3 times.
1 time.
3 times. Very good. Not 1 time, Buddha. 3 times, because the first one will be paid only after 90 days. So within that 3 months, we'll have to accept 3 such bills. එහෙනම් අපිට වෙන්න. දැන් එතෙන්දී අර import loan එක ගෙවලා first එක දැන් August 1st ඇරියා October 1st ආවා. October 1st ලබා නෙමෙයි August September October 1st බඩුව ආවා. බඩුව ආවට පස්සේ අපි accept කළා ඒක ගෙවන්නේ කවද්ද? October, November, December, January 1st වල. January 1st වල අපි pay කරන්න ඕන. January 1st වල pay කරනකොට now we are debiting the customer and crediting the acceptance liability. We debit customer and credit the acceptance liability. Acceptance liability clear කරනවා. like අනික් මාසෙකටකොට අපි දැන් ඒව හැමදාම clear කර revolving facility එක. Right? Okay. Now the acceptance one, the second one, acceptance of import bills. Acceptance of import bills. Right? The make අපිට තියෙන්නේ 100,000 into 3. ඉතලා එක පුතේ ආන්සර් කරලා හරියට 3. US dollars 300,000 is the facility. Right? Then comes import loan. Now we have to settle the acceptance bills. What are the facilities you have to give? And then import loans. Import. Then reason since we are getting the money, since we are going to get a facility, we get a reason import loans. Import loans. All these things are revolving facility. Yeah? Revolving import loans facility. Revolving import loan facility can be one will be settled, then again it will kudella යනවා කුඩෙල්ල එක තැනක තියලා අනිත් පැත්තෙන් අල්ලගෙන ආයෙත් කකුල එතෙන්ට ගත්තට පස්සේ අනිත් තැනට තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේ තමයි. when you received, when I'm going to pay the import bill, right? Since we are getting the, since it will take 4 months to receive the payment means it will take 4 months to receive the payment, but we have to settle the accepted bill, but we have to settle the accepted bill after 90 days. දාන චීන එක මම ලියන්නේ එහාට මට කරකවන මම මේ බොරුව කරන්නේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ තේ බොරුව කරලා දෙන්න. හැබැයි ඒ බොරුව කිව්වේ නැත්නම් ලකුණු අඩුයි. රීසන්ස් දුන්නේ නැත්නම් ලකුණු හොඳටම අඩුයි. භාගය හම්බෙන්නේ. භාගය දෙනට වඩා ඔයගන්ට පුළුවන් ඒ බොරුවෙන් ජීවත් වෙලා යන්න. right? එතකොට මේ we have to settle the accepted bill after 90 days. Therefore, we need to give facility of import loan for how many months? දැන් උත්තරේ කියන මනුස්සයා බලුද කවුද කියලා බලමු. Therefore, we had to give the import loan facility for
1 month.
1 month. Very good. 1 month. Because after 1 month, you are getting the payment. US dollars 120 days. Right? Can you hear me or we have disconnected?
No. We can hear.
All right. Okay. Fine. අර සද්ද නැති වුණාම ඇඟට නිකන් බයයි වගේ. එකපාරට ඔයගලන්ගේ
No, we can hear you.
You can hear. Right. Then for 1 month. So that is import loan to settle the accepted bills. Import loans to settle the accepted bills. That is US dollars 100,000 into 1 US dollars 100,000. Right? Okay. Then facility 4, that is OD or short-term loan for clearing charges. ඒකට දෙන්නේ අපි import loan. එතන import loan එක ලිව්වොත් වැරදි. You can't say import loan. This is OD or short-term loan for clearing charges. There you have to mention every shipment, the customer need clearing charges of how much? $25,000. 25,000. Clearing charges of $25,000. Right? Until the proceeds for the first shipment received after 4 months, we need 4 such facilities. We need 4 such facilities. හතර පාරක් දෙන්න එපා. Imports හතරක් වෙනවා පළවෙනි එකේ සල්ලි ඉන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා. 4 such facilities. So that means US dollars 25,000 into 4 equals to US dollars 100,000. Now these are the facilities we'll have to give. Of course, we have to write the reasons. Reasons, of course, the cut and paste from the sum. When you try the next ones, and when you try more and more, always don't go for shortcut methods. Write the reasons. Then only you get the practice. Right? මේක ඉක්මනට ගාන හදලා ගන්න යන්න එපා. මේ මං හදන ක්‍රමයට කරන්න එපා. මං කලේ උත්තරේ විතරයි. ලියන එක ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගන්න. Right? Okay. Any questions before I move on to this next question? මේකදී ඔය ඇයි 4 ආවේ, ඇයි 1 ආවේ, 3 ආවේ උනාට ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා. For that we call මොකද මං කිව්වේ ඒකට මොකද්ද කියන්නේ lead time. LEAD lead time. Any questions? Or can I move to the next one?
ආයෙ පොඩ්ඩක් එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරන්න පුළුවන්ද සර්?
කොතනද පුතේ ඕනේ? අයි ඔක්කොම ටික කරනකොට වඩා ලේසි සම්පූර්ණ කරන්න දෙයක් කියන්නේ.
So why we need two LC facilities?
Why we need two LC facilities? අන්න එහෙම අහන්න. Why we need two LC facilities? Why? මම වරද්දගත්ත කියන්නේ මගේ කටේ පැනලා දැන් කැලෙන් කාලා ආයෙත් දන්නේ why we need three acceptance facilities අන්තිම ගානම කියනවා තමයි. අයියෝ මං වගේ මෝඩෙක්. හරි කමන්නේ. ඔයගලන්ටනේ issuance of LC. Why we need two LC facilities? When we issue a LC on August 1st, when are we going to get the money? When we are going to get the goods and the documents? It will take 2 months. August, September, October 1st. But every month we need imports. So on September 1st also we have to open another LC. In September also we have to open another LC. Right? So before we receive the documents on October 1st, we have to open two LCs, one in August, one in September. That is why we need two. That because when we open one, it will take 2 months to receive the documents. Clear? Right. Any other questions? The same theory will apply to others. Right. Let's move on to the next one. එකත් මේ වගේමයි. ඒක ඔබ තනියෙන් කරලා බලන්න. ඒක තනියෙන් කරලා ඒකට මේ කරලා බලමු. Our customer TCP Limited. Right. Their business is importers of electrical items. Amount and term, monthly single import shipment of $100,000 each month under LC terms, payable 90 days from the date of shipment. Right? LC terms payable 90 days from the date of shipment. මේ ඔක්කොම දැන් කොහේ තැනක ලියා ගන්න මේ TCP limited ඔයගොල්ලෝ ලියා ගන්න facilities required කියන එක දැන් ඒ ගානේ දැන් jot down කරගන්න. Single import shipment. එතකොට number 1 LC facility. Then you don't have to go back to the sum again. Right? Single import shipment, LC facility, US dollars 100,000 each 100,000 each month, 90 days from 90 days from the date of shipment. 90 days from the date of shipment. Right? 90 days from date of shipment. These are important points. Then DC to be issued 30 days prior to the date of shipment. So between the issuance date and the shipment date, what is the time period we have to keep? Between the issuance date and the shipment date, what is the time period?
30 days.
30 days. Right? 30 days. Okay. Then goods will be received by TCP Limited 30 days from the shipment date. Then from the shipment date, up to the time we receive the goods, how long it will take?
1 month.
1 month. Very good. 1 month. The 1 month before, 1 month, and a shipment. In other words, from the time you open the LC until you receive the goods, what is the time duration? What is the time duration?
2 months.
2 months. So, in other words, the lead time is 2 months. For LC's, lead time is 2 months. Right? Then, the goods are sold immediately in the local market. The goods are sold immediately in the local market for US dollars 120,000 on 90 days credit term. So immediately they will sell the goods, but they will receive the money only after 90 days. 90 days credit term. Wholesale customers they grant after 90 days. Right? Then the monthly overhead expenses, US dollars 5,000 from the date of receipt of the shipment. Okay. You are required to structure a package of facilities to meet the customer's requirement, especially each type of facility and the revolving limit needed for each facility with reasons. Okay. For each financial facility, state the security documentation to be taken and any special conditions that you would lay down. Very good point. And questions in it. For the sum, you will get 15 marks. Part B will get 5 marks. Right? Okay, first we'll do the sum. Don't worry about the B part, we'll discuss it. Can you all do it? Now, my Karani. Okay. Last straight, you draw the straight line. First, you draw the straight line and mark all these things accordingly, and then start doing the sum. Then start doing the sum. We will get a straight line. Mark in the Kurumban Karlivilla, Galan Karabe, Manteka, Ogla Karla, it was a bit discussed. Okay. I'll give you about 10 minutes. 11:22, 11:30, or 11:35. Avi balu. Eno kota gana hadala tiyan. Udeta kalpana karadan. Write the reasons also with the reasons. Then you get the practice and you'll be thorough. Right? Okay, fine. This is the straight line, right? LC is for US dollars 100,000. LC is for US dollars 100,000. And it will take, from the time they open, it will take 1 month for the shipment. Right? Then the shipment time is another 1 month. So altogether, lead time when we issue the LC is 2 months. Right? So when you jot down all these details in a straight line like this, you will never miss anything. You can do the exercise without going back to the sum, right? Okay. Then, when we receive the goods and the documents, you have to accept the bill since it's a DA usance document, right? Mata meka karanda bෑ. Mata karanda බැරි හින්දා තමයි මම මේ accept bills කියලා තියෙන්නේ. ඊට යටින් ලියාගන්න accept bills. You can jot down US dollars 100,000 yen. US dollars 100,000. Then it's perfect. And when you have to pay 3 months from the shipment date. 3 months from the shipment date. So by the time you receive the document and accept the bills, already 1 month has gone. See the acceptance condition 3 months from the shipment date, right? That means we have to do the payment in another 2 months time. In another 2 months time. 3 months in the shipment date period like 1 month, and after that 2 months. Right? The previous sum, it was 90 days from the acceptance. That's a different thing. 3 months from the acceptance. Make up 3 months, but it is different. 3 months from the shipment date. 3 months from the shipment date. So it is 1 month and 2 months. After 2 months, you have to give them an import loan. Right? And then we have to altogether when we accept the bills and when we clear the goods will be sold to the customers, their buyers, immediately, and they will receive the money after 90 days. So they will receive the money from the time they receive the goods, 90 days from that payment of US dollars 120,000. Right? Okay. Now, with that, now we are writing the facilities. Facility 1, issuance of LCs. Description එක ලිව්වද? කවුරු එක්කෙනෙක් කියන්න බන්න මට description එක? The reason. Somebody has to volunteer. Then only we can correct ourselves and don't be him. You are not experts now. You are trying, but you have to have a backbone to talk in front of the others. Right? එක්කෙනෙක් කියන්න බන්න? The reasons. If you are not telling, then I'm not going to give the reasons. Then what is going to happen when I'm checking your papers, I will cut at 2 marks each for each missing reasons. What do you like? Is it good to lose 7-8 marks, or to discuss it now and save your neck? Somebody volunteer. Very good. Yeah.
Single important. Single shipment.
Hello. Hello.
This is single import shipment.
Yeah. Single import shipment for US dollars 100,000. Very good.
100%. Under LC terms, payable 90 days.
90 days? Import?
From the shipment date.
In 90 days from the shipment date. Very good. Very good. Continue.
Therefore,
very good.
Therefore, we have to open LC for US 100,000 on monthly basis.
Yeah, we have to open LCs on monthly basis. I think the important Miss Kalapati, the lead time of the LC should be 2 months from
2 months.
2 months from time you issue the LC, right?
Yeah.
So that means we need 2 such revolving LCs facilities. 2 such revolving LC facilities. Right? Here, beyond. Right? Very good. I think we all should give a clap to her because she has given a try and now we have corrected. That's the way you have to do it. The next one, somebody else. So US dollars 100,000 into 2 US dollars 200,000. Eka hari. Eka 200,000 aave kila. She explained. The second one is the acceptance of import bills. Can somebody else tell me the reason? We have to start with the what is there in the sum. Acceptance of acceptance. Sorry, I'm again. No? The bills will be 90 days from shipment. Bills will be 90 days from shipment. 90 days from shipment. Therefore, it will take 2 more months to settle the first bill. It will take 2 more months to settle the first bill. Hence, we need the acceptance of import bill facility, revolving acceptance of import bill facility for 2 times. For 2 times. Why 2 times, not 3 times? Why 2 times, not 3 times? What's the reason? Why 2 times, not 3 times?
Import bill facility should be settled after 90 days from after receiving goods.
No, it is not like that.
Prior shipment.
Shipment period, man.
Yeah. Should be settled 90 days from the shipment date. So by the time we receive the bills and accept, already 1 month has gone. And we have another 2 months remaining. That is why we have added up. We have multiplied into 2. 100,000 into 2. අපිට ඒ ඇති. මොකද අපි තව මාස දෙකකින් import loan එක settle කළාම ඒ facility එක revolving facility එක ආපහු reinstate වෙනවා. It will reinstate again. Right. Third facility, import loan to settle accepted bills. Right. We have to settle the import loans of the first bill after 2 months. After 2 months. Therefore, but the payment but the proceeds will be received after 3 months. Therefore, to settle the accept bill, we need we need import loan facility for 1 month. Import loan facility for 1 month. Take it clear there? 100 into 1 US dollars. 100,000. Hey, abhi 2 months ling give what? මාසයක් යනවා සල්ලි හම්බ වෙන්නේ. ඒක ඒතර අපිට ඒක 1 month one time දුන්නාම ඇති ඊගාව එක බිල එනකොට ගෙවන්න ඕනකොට අපිට සල්ලි ඇවිල්ලා. ඒතර ඒක price එක revolving වෙවි යනවා. Right? Okay. Audio short term loan facility for clearing charges, how much? Can about? ये दोगला आवे. ඒකට import loan දෙන්නේ නැහැ.
15,000.
15,000. Put like 5,000 into 3 US dollars, 15,000. මේ ටික ගන්න මෙච්චර ලේසි ගණන් හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. Right? අනික මේ මාව import කරයි. Before I move on to the third sum, tell me, any questions you have? Now, any gray areas? Because otherwise, the third one will be a little bit complicated. Exports, you know.
Facility third එක ආයෙ පොඩ්ඩක් explain කරන්න පුළුවන්.
Facility?
Third. Facility number 3, import loan to settle accepted bills.
Import loan to settle the accepted bills. The most important thing, the golden rule in the entire exercises is you have to be concerned about the lead time. Lead time. That is the main reason why I have asked you to draw a straight line and mark all these things so you will never miss it. Otherwise, how genius you are, you can make mistakes. We all are human beings, right? But you are not supposed to make mistakes because you can't afford it. In the exam, right? Now it's okay, but the exam. But we'll have to get ready ourselves for the exam. So, facility 3, the reason why we have 1 is what is the lead time for the input loan. Once we give the input loan, after how many months it will get settled? Once we give the import loan, after how many months it will get settled? Answer. ඇහෙන්නේ නැතු ගියාද?
ඇහෙනවා sir.
ඇහෙනවා කියන શબ્ද නැහැ. Once we give the import loan facility, how long will it take to settle that facility? Oh,
1 month.
1 month. 1 month එනකොට අර US dollars 120,000 එනවා. හරි. එතකොට එකෙන් 100,000 වල බිල් ඔක්කොම සෙටල් කරපුවා ඔක්කොම ගියා. ඉන්ට්‍රස්ට් එකක් ගෙවුවා. තවත් ගණක් අපේ අතේ තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ අපේ ප්‍රොෆිට් එක කියලා කියන්නේ. Right? So the lead time is 1. That is why we have multiplied by 1. Any other questions? Any other questions? Facility number 2 තමයි මේක පොඩ්ඩක් tricky තියෙන්නේ. Why we have multiplied by 2, not 3? That's the tricky area.
Excuse me, sir. The hammer question එකකම facilities 4ද එන්නේ නැත්නම් ඊට
අපොයි නෑ අනේ තව ඉස්සරහට දෙන්නම් පුතේ facility 8 9 තියෙනව තමයි ඉස්සරහට එන්නේ. මම ඒක කිව්වනේ මේ පහේ පන්තියේ වැඩක් කියලා මේ ඔයගලන්ව මම මේ prepare කරනවා. නියම questions වලට. අපි ඉස්සරහට එනකොට 7 8 තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේව තමයි ඉන්නේ. Right? මේක හරිය ඔලුවට ගන්න. මේක ඔලුවට ගත්තට පස්සේ 7 8 simple. There's nothing. Right? Okay. Right. Then if you don't have any questions, we'll move on to the third one. මේක ටිකක් දිගයි නේ. කියවලබන් Silver and Company. You can read our customer Silver Limited. buyer from Italy. He is an exporter. He is an exporter. He export goods to which country? Italy. On what terms and what is the amount? Single export shipment of euro 100,000 under LC terms, payable 120 days DA terms. Payable 120 days DA terms. Ini අපි shipment date එකේ තමයි අපි කියලා අපි හිතලා ගමු මේ DA terms පොඩි ගොඩාක් ඇතුළට යන්න නැතුව මේ දීලා තියෙන figures වලින් අපි ගණන් කරමු. In order to manufacture product, China Limited will have to import raw material from Seoul, Korea. Payment for raw materials to be made on the user's DC 90 days from shipment. 90 days from shipment. Right? Import DC for raw materials to be issued 4 weeks before the date of shipment. That means how many months?
1 month.
1 month.
1 month before shipment. Right? Then goods and documents to be received in Sri Lanka 4 weeks from the shipment. Goods and documents to be received in Sri Lanka 4 weeks from the shipment. What is the shipment lead time again?
2 months.
No. Shipment is
1 month.
1 month.
1
2 weeks. 4 weeks before the shipment, you have to open the LC, and it will take another 4 weeks to reach the docs and the documents and the goods. Altogether, lead time of the LC is 2 months. Lead time of the LC is 2 months. But question I ask is, what is the time period for shipment? Shipment is 1 month. For each export shipment, raw material required amount to euro 8,000. So then what is the import LC value? What should be the import LC value?
80,000.
8,000. What is the export LC value?
100,000.
100,000. Profit getting in. Each DC raw materials will cover the requirements for one export shipment. Right? The clearing charges and customs duty for each shipment is euro 5,000 and will have to be paid on arrival of goods. Okay? Time taken to manufacture the goods and export them will be 4 months from receiving raw materials. Plus raw materials masa 4 kena goods manufacture karla export karan. Right? So that means until you ship the first consignment, how many such bills we will receive? දිගටම එනවා මාසයක් ගානේ අරින්න ඕන. මාස 4කින් තමයි මාස 4ක් යනවා මේක manufacture කරන්න. Right? You can see the trade cycle. Questions. You are required to structure a package of financial facilities for the purpose of servicing this order, indicating the basis on which the revolving credit limit for each facility computed. Okay, the facilities shall be made available in Sri Lanka rupees, assuming the rate of exchange to be €1 is equals to LKR 210. Are Islewat තිබුණා. මම ඒක rupees වලට convert කළේ නෑ. And we have missed one more thing. Nobody reminded me. අරකේ තිබ්බ නේද B part එක. අර question එකේ. Now we have gone through the thing. I will ask you to do the question, but before that, give me about 5 minutes to discuss about the this question. මේකත් යන්නේ rupees වලින් ඉල්ලන්නේ. rupees වලින් ඉල්ලනවා නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේම හදන්න ඕන. මේක හදලා issuance of DCs, LCs, US dollars 100,000 into 2 US dollars 200,000. The next line should be in Sri Lanka rupees. In Sri Lanka rupees, US dollars 200,000 into here 200 rupees. 200,000 to 200,000 into 200 equals to කීයද කියලා. එතකොට එනවා 200,000 into 200 කියන්නේ 40 million in Sri Lanka rupees. 40 million in Sri Lanka rupees. ඒක ගන්න ඕන. ඒක පෙන්වන්න කියලා තියෙනවා නම් ඒක පෙන්වෙන්නේ නැත්තම් ලකුණු අඩුයි. ලකුණු අඩුයි කියන කෙලින්ම භාගයටම බහිනවා. ඒ ක්වෙස්චන් එක දීලා නැහනේ. කරලා නැහනේ. ඒක භාගයටම බහිනවා. මම ඒක කළේ නැත්තේ උගන්ට ඕනනම් ඔය ගාන කරලා ඒ කෑල්ල ඕනනම් ඔය පිටිපස්සෙන් කෑ ගහන දුල පුතාලා ඉන්නවනේ. නංගිලා මල්ලිලා ඉන්නවනේ. ඒ ගානට දුන්නා නම් ඒගොල්ලෝ වැඩි කරලා දෙයි 200,000 into 200 කියලා කීයද කියලා ඒගොල්ලෝ කරලා දෙයි. right? ඒකේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. For each financial facility, state the security documentation to be taken and any special conditions that you would lay down. Now, you have to go back to refresh your mind when we open the LCs. What are the things we need? Now, what are the 4 facilities? Right. What are the 4 facilities? First, the issuance of LC. Then you have to say facility 1. Facility 1. What are the documents you need? What are the documents you need? The security documentation or conditions? Security documentation or conditions. Very important part. Under issuance of LC or bills or whatever. First, you have to mention under security documentation, the first you have to mention is trade finance general agreement. Trade finance general agreement. We discuss all this. Then, what else? What else? What else? Under LC? What is the other document? When you want to put support that, then LC application. LC application. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. LC application. LC application where they give where the customer indemnify the bank. Where the customer indemnify the bank. LC application ka පිටපස්සේ අත්සන් කරනකොට තියෙනවනේ. They indemnify the bank. Right? What else? What are the conditions?
Invoice.
Perform invoice. එක දාන්න පුළුවන් ඒක security document එකක් නෙමෙයි. ඒක ඕනේ නැත්නම් මොකක්ද තව security document condition එකක් දාන්න පුළුවන් මොකද්ද? bank එක control කරගන්න. මේ shipment එක ගැන කතා කරන්නේ. Then
insurance
bill of lading, bill of lading consigned to the bank. Bill of lading consigned to the bank. Then it's title document, right? Bill of lading consigned to the bank. Vertical Then facility number 2, acceptance of import bill. What are the documentation? What are the conditions?
Bill of exchange.
Bill of exchange, very good. Bill of exchange is duly accepted by the customer. Bill of exchange is duly accepted by the customer. Right? Okay. On top of that, trade finance general agreement. Common, trade finance general agreement. Facility number 3. Facility number 3. What are the documentation?
Loan agreement.
Very good. Very good. Loan agreement. Import loan agreement. It has to be signed by the customer. Very good. Right? Then facility number 4. Overdraft or STL, short-term loan agreement. Particularly one, ඒලගුණ පහත් ගන්නවා. මේකත් මේ කරලා ඒලගුණ පහත් ගත්තනම් 20 marks. Right? Okay. දැන් මේ ගාන කරන්න බලන්න. Right. ඉක්මනට කරන්න බලන්න. ඉක්මනට කරන්න ඕන දැන් ඉතින් අද මේක ඉවර කරගන්න බලමු අපි. 12:06යි 12:20 මම 10 minutes වගේ තියෙනවා. minutes වලට පොඩ්ඩක් වැඩි තියෙනවා. අග්ගල ලයින් එක ඇඳලා කරගෙන යන්න. $12:20, I'm going to start. Otherwise, we won't be able to finish it by 12:30. If you have done this, it will be great. But it's very easy. Very easy. How many facilities you have done? What are the facilities you need? Quickly. Now you have started that now. First we'll jot down the facilities. Number 1.
Import LC facility.
Import LC facility. Right? Then what else? What is the other facility you want? Acceptance facility we have to give. Right? Then what else? Short-term import loan. Pudha, you use the correct term. Can I have my ask වගේ ළමයින්ගේ නමක් දැනගන්න. මොකද්ද නම වගේ? මට මිස් වෙච්ච එකක් ඔයා මට රිමයින්ඩ් කරලා දුන්නා. මොකද්ද නම කියන්න බලන්න. ලැජ්ජ වෙන්න එපා. ඔයා හරි කෙනෙක්. මම වෙන ක්වෙස්චන් නැහැ. නම විතරක් කියන්න. එහෙනම් oh my god, අපි පටන් ගන්නකොටම සත්‍ය ගියාද?
Hey no sir, hey no.
එහෙනම් And I have a lame outside. Ayo, that facility, we have to say short-term import loan facility. Short-term import loan facility. Right? So thank you very much for reminding me that. You have to be proud. Then export bill. With an export bill, export bill is purchase. We'll have to either purchase or either we'll have to discount the export bill. So export bill discounting facility. Then we have to give another facility for the clearing charges and custom duty. So those are the facilities which we have to. Okay. Now the question, we know the arms. Have you done the straight line? Right? We open the LC for euro 80,000. After 1 month, we'll do the shipment. Shipment will take another 1 month. Then the bills will come. Once the bill comes, we'll have to accept the bills, right? And those bills will be 90 days from the shipment date. So that means after 2 months from we accept the bill, we'll have to do the settlement. We have to do the settlement because the bill value is 90 days from the shipment date, right? Already 1 month has gone before we accept the bill. And the manufacturing time period is 4 months from the time we receive the goods, right? So that means before then only we will accept we will ship the goods. And once we ship the export worth of euro 100,000, we will receive the money only after 4 months, right? 120 days DA. We will receive the money only after 4 months. Then what is going to happen? But we can't wait for 4 months. We are import loan එක settle කරන්න ඕන, export bills එනවා මාසයක් ගානේ. ඒකට සල්ලි වුණා. Then we have to discount the export bill. We'll have to discount the export bill and get the money. So from the time we issue the from the time we export the goods, export bill we will discount and give it to the customer, right? Either full amount or at least 90% or whatever we will give to them. So, so that period is about 2 months. You know, it's altogether 4 months. After 4 months, so we can settle all the outstanding bills, right? That is the straight line. And this is the trade cycle. From the time from left to right is the trade cycle. In this whole process, what is the trade cycle? How many months in this sum? How many months the trade cycle? Can somebody answer quickly?
10 months.
10 months. 10 months. Very good. 10 months. Now the facility 1, issuance of LC. What is the euro 80,000 into how many times?
2.
Very good. I hope everybody got this thing corrected. Correct. Very good. Good. Very good. Then the facility 2, acceptance of import bills. What's the amount? What's the amount? Quickly.
18 to 2.
18
to
2.
So facility 1 euro 80, but it's a US dollar.
නෑ ඒකති මේ නාති මනුස්සයගේ වැරදි ඒ ගණන් ගන්න එපා මගේ වැරදි හොයන්න එපා ගුරාගේ වැරදි ඒ ගුරා වැරදිය මම ඒක හදන්නම් පස්සේ thank you very much for showing it to me ඔළුවේම තියෙන US dollars නේ right ඒක හරි හැබැයි මෙතෙන්දි තව ලයින් එකක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දාන්න ඕන in rupees අරක දාලා තිබ්බනේ 1 euro is equals to 210 ද කොහෙද කියලා නේ ඒතර ඒක 210 වලින් වැඩි කරලා rupees වලින් ගන්න එක. ඒක දාගන්න. හරි. මේක euro මේක euro වෙන්න ඕන. ඒක හරි. right. ඊට පස්සේ import loan to settle accepted bills. How much? 80 euros into 1 or 2? 2, because we will be after settling the after doing the export shipment, once we discount the bill, it will take another 2 such 2 months තව යනවා අපිට. ඒ months දෙකට අපිට settle එතන 18 to 2 euro 160 right අරක ඔගොල්ලෝ 100 US dollar එක change කරගන්න right then facility 4 OD or short term loan for clearing charges what's the amount euro 5,000 euro 5,000 into how many times euro 5,000 into how many times huh 4 බයෙන් එපා ඔයගොල්ලෝ හරි පුතේ දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා දැන් බය නැතුව කෑ ගන්න දැන් මටත් උගන්වන්න එච්චර මං කියන්නේ to have the confidence right with confidence your managers and officers of the bank right be brave export bills discounted or purchase euro 1,000 into how many such bills we have to discount 3 get the money from the first bill how long it will take
4 months
4 months it will take 4 months there are 4 such bills මේ lead time එක මම කියන්නේ ඒකයි lead time එකෙන් තමයි වැඩි කර යන්න ඕනේ දැන් බලන්න මේ ඔක්කොම බැලුවා නම් lead time එකෙන් තමයි වැඩි කරන්න තියෙන්නේ LCA 1 month 2 months දෙකෙන් acceptance අතරින් ඉඳන් 2 months දෙකෙන් OD short term loan for clearing charges 2 and 2 4 times and this 4 times lead time ඔලුවට ගන්න එච්චරයි එච්චරයි හැබැයි මේක හැම එකම ඔයගොල්ලෝ හදන්න ගෙදරදී කරන්න 210 එකකින් වැඩි කරලා රුපිස් ෆැසිලිටි එක දෙන්න right මෙන්න මේ ගණන් ටික Srilan and company හදන්න there are 2 raw materials we are going to take M&T there will be 2 facilities right and Robert do it Ajit Nai Supermax Sri Lanka මේකේ නමක් නැහැ ඒකට අයයි ඇත් තියෙනවා ගණන් තියෙනවා කරන්න homework right so anyway thank you very much for supporting me under this trying situation it was a hectic time for me also and I must thank you all especially අනේ අර ළමයා නිලුෂි right එයාගේ ෆෝන් එකේ මට කීපාරක් කෝල් කළා and අර අපේ ෆ්ලෝ එක පොඩ්ඩක් එහාට මට වුණා. I'm sorry for that. We'll see and we'll meet you next week. And please do these sums and come. I might do another session, but every day I will do 1 or 2 sums whenever I am having time. So I will start with doing these sums. Right? I will start with doing these sums, at least 1 or 2. So you do all these things and get ready. Then we'll be discussing. Right? Then you can be assured of the 20 marks. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much and all the best and stay safe.